Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to Ye Grand Old League. I'm not really sure if I'm settled on that name or not, but it'll go for now. I am your commissioner, Jake Vossen. Really excited about this league. Haven't really done one like this where I was commish. Thank you to our grand leader, Zach, who showed me this league, and I've been copying it for the past few years. Uh, or this league format. There's a lot that goes into this league, and this platform. So if you're not familiar with it, I would highly recommend sticking through here and watching this video. Hopefully it doesn't get too long, but I think you'll find it to be really useful as I'll just kind of show you around the platform and just the different ins and outs of the league, things you want to be aware of, things you want to understand. I look forward to a really good league. Everyone be relatively kind. Actually, take that back. Be as mean as you want. All the guys that I know in this league are very active and dedicated to fantasy. So I think it should be really good. And with addition to Johnny's friends who he added, he claims that they are pretty solid as well. So I'm excited to see how it goes. Should be a lot of fun. The reason I put people in certain conferences the way that I did, I knew that the guys that I put in my conference have all had a lot of experience with this. So as far as trading and stuff goes, we'll all value people the same. So that should be fairly balanced on that side of things. And then most of the people on the other side are less experienced with MFL or Superflex, whatever the case may be. So I figured that you guys should be together and be able to learn through it together, because I didn't want anyone being frustrated about however trades might go as people learn things. And then we only play each other just here and there. So if things are a little unbalanced or some teams are better than others, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Not saying you guys in the other conference aren't going to do great. I'm sure you will. But yeah, I just figured that would be the best way to do it. If we end up wanting to shake things around, no, you can't really do that, but whatever. Maybe we'll realign divisions or something someday, but conferences will have to stay the same. All right. That being said, I'm going to share my screen with you guys so we can do this. Share screen. Oh, I have to grant access. Allow the apps below. See. No, I got to do this real quick. Oh, you got to be kidding me right now. I'm using my school laptop and it's not letting me. I don't think it's going to let me do this. Wow, that really sucks. Okay. 1 second. There's another way I can do this. Do it on my phone. Share that screen. Okay. 1 second here. All right, so as you can see, I'm doing this on my phone, so it's not going to be as good as I would have liked, but we'll make it work. So this is the mobile site. If you're using your phone, I recommend doing it here. I find it to be the easiest way to do it, because it is just like the website. It's exactly the same as the website and the mobile as it is in the mobile site. You can use an app. So if you want to use an app, it's MFL Platinum is what it's called. However, it's not created by My Fantasy League by MFL. So it's not perfect. It's pretty good. You can like set your lineups there and do trades and whatnot. So if you're just gonna set your lineup, it's probably the easiest way to do it is to do it there. Or if you want to do a trade. But some of the functions, like if you click on certain tabs, it's just going to take you to the mobile site. So it just play with it, see which you prefer. I almost never use the app unless I'm submitting my lineup, but even then I usually just use the site because it's what I'm used to. But if you prefer one way over the other, that's the way to do it. So a couple things to talk about before we actually get into the site itself. So the league is 9 starters, okay? And it's called Superflex. Now, I thought everyone was familiar with Superflex, but apparently that's not the case. So in Superflex, you have your regular flex positions, which you play a wide receiver, running back, tight end. Either one of those three is fine. In Superflex, it's the same exact thing. You can play running back, wide receiver, tight end, but you can also play a quarterback. So what that means is it's smart to roster 2 minimum quarterbacks, maybe 3 or 4. Of course, not everyone's going to be able to do 3 or 4 as there are only 32, 30. There are only 30 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the league, but backup quarterbacks, very important, and such. So strongly recommend having multiple quarterbacks because especially with the way we have the scoring with quarterbacks getting 6 points per passing touchdown, they're the most valuable position in the league now. In regular dynasty, running backs are number one, then wide receivers, but in superflex, it makes the most valuable quarterback or the most valuable position in the NFL also the most valuable in the league because it's not like in regular leagues where only 12 quarterbacks play per week in your league. So you can just pick up one off of waivers. Like streaming quarterbacks is not a thing in a super flex. So quarterbacks are going to be highly valued. Their prices in the auction are going to be higher than you would expect as in like a regular league. And then the price it requires to get a quarterback in a trade is going to be higher as well. On top of that, we also are a tight end premium league. So instead of just having 3 good tight ends that are like startable every single week, like Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle or something like that, you're also going to have other guys that are going to get you, 15 points a game because they're getting, 7 catches for 40 yards is going to get you, I don't know, 7.5, 7 times 1.5 is going to get you like 13 and a half-ish, or no, like, yeah, about 14 points if they had like 40 or 50 yards. And then you add a touchdown on there, you're getting 20 points from your tight end pretty easily. So tight ends are much more valuable. In fact, that the elite ones are some now of the most valuable players. Guys like Kyle Pitts are going to be huge. You just get tons of receptions, right? So you're going to see those prices for the guys in your leagues be much higher. I would strongly recommend getting a good tight end or at least drafting a couple because say, for instance, you draft 2 quarterbacks, right? You just weren't able to get 3. When that quarterback goes on bye, if you have a second really good tight end, you can throw him into your super flex if you want to. For the weekend that quarterback's on bye. So tight ends, quarterbacks, far more valuable in this league than they are in your standard leagues. Outside of that, we'll be doing 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and then 2 flex positions. So you'll end up having, and then 1 tight end. Okay. So you'll end up having not too hard of a roster to fill, only 12 teams. So all 12 of these teams should be relatively good. In this first year, usually these leagues and dynasty leagues, when you have an auction like this, all the teams are really balanced. As things go and as you get holdouts and whatnot, it's going to become much more top heavy and bottom heavy, which that's just the way it works. So it is what it is. Okay. Other things to discuss. So the home tab is where just you have all your main league info. We don't really use the league chat and league poll. I might end up getting rid of those 2 tabs. Message board we will use here and there if I have something I want to post for everybody to see up with some stuff there. And then in the off season, we do some stuff in the message board. I'll explain that later. You'll see your head-to-head matchups here on the home page. Okay, and then when you have a trade, it will pop up right here for you. So someone sends you a trade, you'll see it here, and you can also see this in your team page as well. So if you get shot a trade, if you want to send one, you can do that there. You got your league standings here. Pretty straightforward. And then just some other details. So like it'll just show, I put in a few things that shows like power rankings. It's going to rank each team based on like the points they score and how many they could have won. And if they had a better lineup, what they would have done. Weekly results go here. And then this is important. Okay. This part right here, current auctions. So tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, when we have our auction, you will want to go to the main page and scroll down to this point here. Okay. Right now it says no current auctions tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central. So I'm just getting early tomorrow. So at 7 my time, 7 or 8 a.m. Eastern, I mean to say, you will go here and click on place auction bid. Okay. Click place auction bid. You won't have to do this because you're not a commissioner. It'll just go straight to here. Whoops. You go to place auction bid. And then what happens here is you can see all the players here are listed. I think you can sort them however you like by position. You can sort them by searching for last name. You can sort them by projected points, which is how I believe they're sorted right now. Any way you want to, okay? Just go down here to filter, and you can get any guy you want on there. Now, on the left here, the $300 you see, that is how much money you have available to bid. However, you must fill your team with all 18 players in the initial auction. After the auction happens, you're allowed to go down to 12 minimum in season. I highly recommend not doing that because you only have 3 bench guys. But say you just said, I want to have the best of the best and I don't care about depth, go for it. I don't care. Okay. But you must stay under the $300 cap throughout the entire season. You cannot go over 300 for any point. Any trade you make must keep you under that cap as well. So say I want to trade for Davante Adams and I'm sitting at 295 and Davante Adams has a salary of $48 and I'm going to trade away we'll say a really young stud and a draft pick. So I'm going to trade away a draft pick next year and George Pickens or something, right? Sure, that wouldn't happen, but say you wanted to. Well, George Pickens only has a salary of $15, we'll say. So now you have a $33 difference, right? So when you make that trade, your salary cap is going to go up $33. So if that puts you over $300, you cannot make that trade. So all your trades must keep you under $300. Also, during the auction, it says here you must have 18 players, okay? Or I'm sorry, here it says hint, right? It says in order to have enough money to completely fill your roster, you may bid no more than 283 on any one player. So that's saying if you spent $283 on one player, then you'd have $17 left to do $1 for each of your remaining players. So be careful with how you spend your money, because if you spend all your money early, your remaining players are just going to be really limited on what you can put your bids on. So one guy I know a few years ago, CJ, I believe, saved his money and didn't bid on all the guys early on. And then he had an extremely in-depth or really good depth team because he was able to get all these like B-level players for really cheap because everyone else had maxed out their money on like the top guys. So just a strategy you can take. You don't have to. He didn't end up winning, I don't think, but I think he did really well. So it's something you can do. This league is not going to be super important on depth because we're only starting 9 and there's 12 teams. So it's not like there's not going to be any good players. We're one of our leagues, we have 16 teams and you start 10. Depth is insanely important there because there's not a lot of good players to go around. But anyways, I digress. So I just mentioned that we're only a 12-team league. Well, essentially we're a 24-team league. Oh, I'm sorry. I should say this first. When you want to place your auction, so I'll move my screen, my little guy here so you can see it. Right here where it says opening bid. Say I want to bid on Jonathan Taylor, right? I click Jonathan Taylor. It's not going to allow me to because the auction hasn't started. But say I want to do Jonathan Taylor. I click Jonathan Taylor here. And then I'd say I'm going to bid. We'll say he's going to go for a lot. So I'm just going to start off at $56, right? And then you hit submit bid. So he goes in at $56. If no one raises the bid on him for 12 hours, he's my player, okay? He's my player for $56. That's his salary. However, every time someone outbids me or outbids a player, that's going to go up and the timer resets for another 12 hours. So this can last a long time. I strongly recommend you guys do not start bids off on guys at like $3 who you know are going to go for way more. Just try to speed things up a little bit and don't do the $1 game where it's like the guy's got 4 minutes left on his salary or on his timer and you bid it up $1 so it resets $12. If you're gonna bid it up and try to win the guy. Don't just try to raise someone's salary by $1. We don't want this taking 3 weeks. That being said, it probably is gonna take at least a week. I have it set right now so that 100 players can be bid on at a time. So pretty much what you can do as an owner, every owner has permission or has the capability to place 5 bids or set up 5 bids for a player. So right off the bat, if I wanted to, I could say Jonathan Taylor, Austin Ekeler, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp. I can put 5 bids in for those 5 guys. And then Johnny can do 5 other people. James can do 5 other people. So there's going to be all these guys going at the same time. However, all your bids, they can't add up over that maximum, right? So say I'm going to buy, I want to get, 40 on so-and-so, 40 on Ekeler, 32 on McCaffrey, 56 on Henry, right? If I do that and say I win all those guys, that's going to go down to my salary. So you got to be smart about who you're bidding on, right? Try to look at the time that's left on someone. If there's someone you really like and you want him and his time is shorter than someone else's, bid on that guy first, see if you win him. If you don't, there's still time left on the other guy to go to the next guy, right? So there's plenty of time to move through it all. Just make sure that every day as we're going through this auction, you take some time out of your day, go check, see if there's players whose timers are running down to see if you want to raise a bid on that person and just be budgeting your money as you go through it. That's the auction. You have to at least fill a starting lineup through your auction and then get to those 18 people. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. It shouldn't be too difficult. And most of the guys in here have done this before. So when you're in your auction, do a little group chat and we'll do that as well. I'll also create a separate channel for like AFC, or I'm sorry, All Stars and Legends in our Discord. So like just All Stars can talk to each other and just Legends can talk to each other. That way we don't have too much conversation going on between owners that don't talk as much. Okay, that's the auction. It should be pretty straightforward from there. Let me go ahead and go back to our home page. Back again here. Okay, so that's the home page. Now let me talk about a couple other things. So we're divided into two conferences. As you see, we have 3 divisions per conference. These essentially act as their own league. So if you're in the Legends, that is your league. You want to win the playoffs in that league. You're only going to play against people in that league. And then the winner of that conference will play the winner of the opposing conference for a Super Bowl. Super Bowl champion gets $700. Okay. So I think that's a pretty big payout. I like having the championship top heavy. I'd rather it be champ wins a lot of money and then like the sub playoff guys just win a little bit rather than spreading it out and just everyone winning something. I don't know. I feel like I'd rather, if you don't win, you don't really deserve anything. So, that being said, we don't entirely not play each other, right? So your head-to-head matchup will always be against someone in your league. We will also be doing something called a double header. Okay. So in the double headers, say for instance, we'll start off with just the Legends East. This year, the Legends East will be doing interconference matchups against the All-Stars East. So you will play each team from the opposing division in the other conference. And then next year, the East will play the Central and so on and so on and so on, right? So every year it rotate which division you play. So this year it'll be East versus East, Central versus Central, West versus West. Okay. So what that means though is that for 3 weeks, so weeks 1 through 3, you're going to play one team. So we'll say, for instance, myself, a good 4 inches, will play Don't Be a Thor Loser, right? So however, each conference has its own player pool. So I might have Davante Adams and he might have Davante Adams. So we don't just do it for 1 week because we don't want that happening to where, you have a common team with somebody else. So that guy just happened to have one player better than yours that week. So what we do is throughout 3 weeks, you'll have 3 different matchups against that guy. So your score resets each week. So in week 1, say I beat Dan 142 to 130. Okay, I get 1 win, right? But it's not a win in my record. Okay, just in that matchup, it's a win. So then next week, Dan beats me. We'll say 110 to 100. Okay. The 3rd week, then we each having 1 win against each other will determine who gets the victory in that head-to-head matchup. So say I win, right? As I probably would, 213 to 85. Okay. Now that I've beaten him 2 out of those 3 weeks, at the end of week 3, 1 win will be added to my overall record. So say at that point I had gone 2-1 in my head-to-head matchups, right? 2-1, or we'll say 3-0. I've gone 3-0 in my head-to-head matchups against the guys in my league through the first 3 weeks. Now the week 3 is over and I won my double header against the guy in the other conference. I'm going to add 1 more win to my record and 1 loss to Dan. So Dan might have gone 3-0 against his conference, but since he lost that, like it's called a ghost doubleheader kind of, it will go into that. All of those, so he would be 3-1 is where I'd be 4-0, right? So all of that'll be tracked in an Excel sheet, which you guys can see. It's linked to our league. And I'll show you guys all that in a minute. So I guess I may as well show that to you now. It's not really something you have to worry about. As you set your lineup for your regular matchups, that's the exact same, team and lineup that'll go into your doubleheader as well. So it's not something you guys have to worry about a ton, but it's just good to track. And it's that has saved me at times. I've had times where I was just on the verge of making the playoffs and my doubleheader determined whether or not I made it. And I did make it. It was great. Okay, so if you go over here to where it says links in the top right and you click league links, it then pulls up a tab financial records and league bylaws. Okay. Your league bylaws are there. If you ever need to check anything, they're not perfect. I have to adjust things as I go. This is the third year I've done a league like this. And I've tried to make the bylaws better as they come. So if you ever have a question that's not answered in the bylaws, let me know and I'll try to update it as quickly as I can. And we've got other guys now that are helping me commission this league. So I got a baby coming in November, so I'm gonna be pretty busy, but hopefully these guys can help me out where we can. So you click on financial records here, and it maybe should say financial and historical records. I'll do this one. As you come down here, it's got all kinds of stuff, different tabs that we'll track. So like this is for later in the off season. I'll explain that at a later date. Holdouts, I'll explain that at a later date. Double headers, right? So this is where this will all be tracked. So it'll say, team one, all the teams here will be listed, all 24 teams. All the teams here will be listed, all 24 teams. All the teams in week 3 will be listed, right? And so on and so on. Each week the scores will go in there. Well, when you come, that's just for scores, I'm sorry. When you come over to doubleheader results, this is where you'll see how it's going. So like say right here, it's blank right now, and there's a bunch of codes that go into this. So it calculates all the scoring, everything. But say week one, right? I am playing against Dan. Right here, it'd say Jake. Right here, it would say Dan, right? And it would say what the score was, okay? And then week 2, you do the same thing. Jake versus Dan, and what the score was. Week 3, Jake versus Dan, right? So then it show our scores each week, and then over here in the initial column, it says week 1 versus 3. It'd say Jake 3 wins, or Jake 2 wins. Right here, Jake would have a 2, Dan would have a 1 right there, and then that would be I won 2-1, so I get the win for that matchup. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And not something you have to worry about right now. It'll make more sense as we get into it. Also, the payouts will go here as to who won and everything. And then when everyone pays up here, and I'll update this hopefully over the weekend for everyone being paid. Hopefully by Sunday, or hopefully by tonight, honestly, this whole column here will all say paid. So all 24 of us will have paid, and all the teams will be listed here. The reason there are 5 years listed here is because you can make a trade up to 3 seasons in advance, right? So say I want to trade away a 2025 draft pick, right? I'm going to trade away a 2025 draft pick. I have to pay for 2022 all the way through 2025. That way we don't have guys trading away for future years, just trading away all their draft stock just to focus on 1 year. And then if they don't win the championship, they just leave their team with no draft stock. So we have to try to replace the team with some, and say, hey, you want this team? It sucks and it has no draft picks, right? So if you're going to trade away draft picks, you have to trade for the year that you are going to trade that pick away for. So more often you see someone trading away for like a 2023 draft pick, right? So you have to pay for the next year. I've traded away 4 years in advance because I just know I'm going to be in these leagues for a long time. And I hope you guys all know that same thing as well. Okay. Hope that makes sense. You will not be able to put forth a trade if you have not paid up to and through the year that you're trading for. All right. So that's financial records. If you ever want to access the bylaws, same thing. Links, league links, click on league bylaws, and you can go in there to read those. If you haven't checked those out yet, please do so. Okay. So there's that. Okay, contracts. So if you go over to your team, let's see. There's nothing in here yet because I don't have anything. Let's see, and click on a roster. Okay, so this would be where my roster is. It says what my salary cap is and how much cap room I have available. So say for instance, I had a salary of 284. It would say I have 284, salary cap 300, cap room available $16, right? So it means I have $16 to play with. All your players will be listed here. It says salary for that player will be here, what their bye week is, and then how many years they have left on their contract. Now, any player added via waivers or free agency or rookie drafts will all have 4-year contracts. Okay. However, during the auction, we don't want to have every single player have a 4-year contract. So during the auction, players aren't going to be assigned a contract length. They'll be assigned a salary based off how much money you won them for. But After the auction, I'm going to give you guys a list, as it's in the bylaws actually as well, of what contracts you can hand out to your players. So, like for instance, you're going to be able to hand out a 6-year contract to one player. You're going to be able to hand out a 5-year contract out to 3 players. So, like, which players do you want to keep on your team the longest? After those players reach $0, okay, or 0 years, they go into free agency unless you extend them the year prior or put a franchise tag on them. Free agency is a whole other animal. We'll address that at the end of the year when we get there. But essentially, if you have a player at 1 year on his contract, say there's like, I think there's 2 guys you have to put 1 year at the start of the auction. That means you just get him for this year. If you want to keep him next year, you've got to either franchise tag him or place tenders on him as a restricted free agent, which means you're going to raise his salary up first off. And then for anyone to bid on him, they'll have to like give you draft pick compensation, or he'll just go into unrestricted free agency. We'll explain that later. You don't need to know a lot about that right now. Just know if you want to keep players past their contract length, it's going to cost you some money. So just know that in advance. Trying to think of what else you need to know here. If you want to trade here, anything you want to do with your team, go to the My Team page. You can click Submit Lineup here. If you can see that right there. When you get players in here, you'll see all the different options you can do and whatnot. That's submit your lineup for that given week. If you want to trade, you just click on trades here and then pick a franchise you want to trade with. I'll trade with Raging Buffalo. Go. And then you can do any trades you want there. And then, trade picks, players, etc. will all be there. Okay. All right. Taxi Squad. During the auction, if you get a rookie, you may place him on your taxi squad if and only if that rookie's salary is at $15 or below. Any rookie over $15 is not allowed to be placed in the taxi squad. And that goes for future years as well, because the max contract a rookie can get in the rookie draft in subsequent years is $15. So if you say you want to sign Breece Hall and he goes for $42, he must be on your roster day one. He cannot go in your taxi squad. During the auction, anyone at $15 or under, you can immediately put on your taxi squad, and he counts as 0% of your salary cap. So his salary will not go against your active roster. So say you get George Pickens for $12, right? George Pickens, I'm throwing him on my taxi squad, and I get those $12 back to go back into the auction. You can do that for up to 4 players this year. So 4 players you can have in your taxi squad this year. In subsequent years, we'll raise the taxi squad size up to 7 players. A player may only remain on your taxi squad for 2 years. 2 years. Okay. After a second year in the NFL, he must be activated or dropped from your team. And if a player is on your taxi squad and you activate him to the active roster, he may never go back on the taxi squad again. So say I have Christian McCaffrey, he undoubtedly gets injured. I need to pull Breece Hall off my taxi squad, who I somehow got for less than $15. Okay. Or we'll say Kenneth Walker. He makes more sense. You might get him for like 12 or 13. I take Kenneth Walker. I put him in for Christian McCaffrey. After that week's over, I cannot put him back into my taxi squad. Once he leaves your taxi squad in season, he cannot go back to it. IR, you get 2 spots. If the player is on IR or out, he can go on your IR. Adding and dropping players. Okay. So say I want to add Devontae or Rodney Adams, right? I'm going to click Rodney Adams. I'm going to scroll down here to how much I want. Okay, here we go. How much I want to bid on him, right? So I have to bid at least $1. I don't know if anyone else wants to bid on this guy, right? So I'm going to bid $7, right? If I bid $7 on Rodney Adams and no one bids more than him until the next waivers process, then I'll get him for $7. However, I must have the roster space available and the salary cap available. So if I'm sitting at $294, I can't pick him up because it puts me at $301, right? Unless I've got a $1 player that I can drop that brings my salary down to $293, and now I can fit him up to $300. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Glad it makes sense. Okay. 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 Let's see this. Okay. gotta fix that. All right, that is that. Let's see, what else do I need to do? Go back to League Home. Oh, I need to fix this so that you can click on that and it takes you back to League Home. All right, go here. Okay. I think that just about covers the main stuff. If you want to see your matchup, just click on game day. You'll see all that. Oh, playoffs. So our season will last 12 weeks. Okay. So you get 12 matchups against your conference. So you have 2 matchups against each of your division foes. So that's 6 games, and then 6 more against 6 other randomly generated opponents. That's 12. Okay. Your 4 other divisional matchups. So weeks 1 through 3 will be 1 matchup that can get you 1 win or loss. Weeks 4 through 6 is 1 matchup that can get you 1 win or loss. 7 through 9, and then 10 through 12. Okay. So you have a total of 16 games played, right? 12 actual ones, and then 4 that each last 3 weeks become as 1. Okay. So that's 16 games played. Playoffs will be determined by 3 division winners. Okay. So each division winner is automatically in. Okay. Each division winner is automatically in. So that means that you'll get 3 in there, and then you have 3 wild cards. The wild cards will be purely determined based off of winning percentage. If there's a tie in winning percentage, there's a list of tiebreakers in the settings that you can check out. Okay. I think it goes to like conference record next, and then after conference record, like divisional record. Or no, I think it goes to head first. Yeah. I think it's winning percentage, head-to-head, conference record, divisional record. I believe that's what it is. Not positive. I suppose I'd be open to a discussion if you want to do like points 4 or something. Just let me know if that's something you guys want to discuss. So that means that the top 2 seeds in each conference will get a bye. So you're going to get, in the wild card round, the 1 and 2 seeds, the top 2 divisional winners will get a bye. And then the 3 wild cards, as well as the bottom division winner, will all play each other, just like the NFL, what used to be. So that'll be 4 playing then, and then you'll have that'll be week 13. Week 14 will be semi-conference finals, or semifinals for the conference, and then week 15 will be the conference finals, or conference championship. The 2 winners of those in each league will play each other in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl will last 2 weeks because there's a potential that these 2 teams will have players in the same team. Or similar players. So like you might both have Tom Brady and, again, Davante Adams, right? So we want to have 2 weeks to try to balance that out a little bit to get some more parity among those 2 teams. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to cover about this. I think that just about covers everything. I know it's a little longer, but I think it should do the trick. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Jay, Adrian, James, they all have a lot of experience on this. So Jason, Adrian, James, a lot of the guys on my side of the conference have a lot of experience. And then we can all, the 5 of us that I mentioned, so myself, Jay, Adrian, James, Johnny, we can see both conferences and do commissioner things and those things. Any questions, let us know. Hopefully we can help you guys out with that. I hope you guys enjoy it a lot. The auction will start at 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. I think it should go really well. I'm really excited. If you have any questions or if anything in the auction is not working, try to just shoot me a text. I am skydiving at 11 my time tomorrow, so noon Eastern. So from that point on, I'll be pretty busy. But I'll try to make sure everything's up and running at the right time tomorrow and good to go. So, and remember, these 2 conferences will act pretty differently. So like you can see everything in on the home website, but you won't be able to necessarily access everything. Like you're not going to be able to send trades to the other conference, right? Because we don't want someone to have 2 Davante Adams or 2 players of the same on the same team. So it won't even let you trade with someone on the other conference. You can only trade with someone in your conference. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's it. Pretty straightforward. I know it's a lot. Wait till we get to free agency. The off season is when stuff gets really confusing, but we'll just take it one bit at a time. Try to help you guys understand it as we go. Just know that if you sign someone to a huge contract, they're on your team for a while and they're hard to trade. So don't make someone's contract so high like I did my first year doing this, where I got Michael Thomas after his amazing year for like $85. And that was like almost a third of my contract. So from that point on, I was just pretty much screwed because I couldn't trade him to anyone because no one had the cap space for him. We had one of our startups a couple of years ago. Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey, I think both went for like near $100. And because of that, they weren't the guys they had been ever since. And that caused these two teams just to struggle because they didn't have money for anybody else. Also, one other thing, at the end of the year, we'll do a process called holdouts, right? So if a player performs in the top 10 or top 5, top 7, it's different on position of their position. So we'll say Jalen Hurts performs as the 7th best fantasy quarterback in 2022, but he's getting paid outside of the top 10. What will happen then is we will take the guys surrounding. So we'll take 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Take all 5 of those salaries, the top 5 guys getting paid there, and he'll get paid more. So if you want to keep him on your team, you've got to pay him more. So what that means is if someone goes out and pays Josh Allen $140, that's just going to screw up all the quarterbacks for the rest of the league because their money is going to go up or their holdout cost is going to go up. So don't overpay for these guys. It really screws things up. Just try to see what they're actually worth and pay for it that way. I might be overcomplicating that a little bit, but whatever. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope that answers some things for you guys. Quarterbacks, tight ends, more valuable than you think. I would pay for them. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope you guys have a great season. And I'll try to post things like this as I need to. So enjoy. Except for you, Johnny. I hope you die.